I think I'm back. Listen, my apologies. I'm just going to go through with I'm going through changes, y'all. Do you. Okay, I'm live again. That seems to be better. All right. Sorry about that. It's This is Tattoo. You all know what it stands for: tough answers, tough topics, often overlooked. I had to stop and start because my session, my computer decided to tell me it's running out of space. What better time to have done that? So I'll copy that. I'm going to try one more time to correct the issue I'm having. Just in case people come in. Good. I'll copy the link and I'm going to send this out. Apologies. Previous session. Stopped. We are live now. All right, so much to do. Again, when you come in, I'm encouraging you to, I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also to send me, to send me, let me find, you may have saw it in the previous slide. I want you to send me a text to 484-655-2994 and let me know that you are seeing this. Give me a thumbs up and ask for the Tattoo cell phone app. All right. So listen, I'm just going to go into what we wanted to talk about tonight when I was rudely interrupted by my computer telling me I was running out of space. Okay. So take a look at this. We have, as I shared, civil unrest, life, freedom, acceptance, and cause and effect. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. With the civil unrest, we have this slide here. And what civil unrest stands for is a civil disorder, also known as civil disturbance or civil unrest, is an activity arising from a mass act of civil disobedience in which participants become hostile toward authorities, and imagine that, right? And incur difficulties, authorities incur difficulties maintaining the public safety and order over disorderly crowd. And as you see a picture, I actually could have took a picture of Philly. This was during not Michael Brown, George Floyd's death. This was some of the civil unrest that was caused by that, because people are upset. We're all upset about that. It's nonsense. That man should not have had to lose his life. And I wanted to talk somewhat about that and gain an understanding how we should approach that. There's two parts to that, right? There's the police brutality, and we know that exists. But then there's another side of that where we as African Americans, how do we respond to this? When you know that is the case, how do we respond to it? And often a lot of us as a people aren't responding in a way that they should. The last thing we want to do is provoke the police officer to do what we know they want to do. It's very common that they're shooting us as African Americans. They're welding the guns, and they're doing what we see is being perpetrated by them throughout the country. No matter where you are, I know there's a lot happening in the South, but this is right here in Philadelphia. And again, the young man had a knife, and he should not have done that. But they said he had mental issues, and it's unfortunate. If you know that the police officers are killing us, the last thing we want to be in a situation where we have a weapon in our hand, is known weapon, and kind of lunging at officers. Unfortunately, they're not going to treat you fair. They're not going to look at you as having a mental issue. They're not going to see that. They're just going to see an opportunity to shoot and kill. And they already do it without a weapon in our hands. So we don't need to, like I said, we don't need to provoke the issue. Now, it's too many times that I've seen incidents where, some of us have done some things that doesn't help. Let me just say it that way, because I know a lot of people can hear what I'm saying and say, well, Pastor Dave, we do comply and we still get shot. I get that. But that doesn't mean just stop complying. I mean, we still got to comply. You still got to avoid. There's avoidance that can happen. It's one of the things I'm going to be teaching on, which is conflict resolution and avoidance 1, 2, 3. Avoidance is still possible. Things can be avoided. Like the young man prior to this, the young man that got shot in the back 7 times. And when you see that video, I think it was in Minneapolis. I forget what state it was in the country. But we don't even know how that started. All you do, by the time we see the video, we see the young man walking away from the police officers. Now, apparently, it appears that from what we heard, he had broke up a fight or some altercation is going on between some. And he was either breaking it up or what have you. And it looks like the police got involved. And before you know it, they're pointing guns at him, and as if he's the villain. And in his mind, he's like, you guys weren't even here. So now you show up. And then now it's like, now I'm in danger. For what? So being pissed off, and he just walked away from it because he had his kids in the car. And so what you see is officers walking behind him, and he's just like, screw it. And he's opened up his car to get in. I guess he was just going to drive away. Now, I can understand that frustration, but if cops have guns drawn on you, again, they're shooting us without, even whether we comply or not. But that doesn't mean stop complying. I wish the young fella would have just stopped walking and maybe just put his hands up or whatever. Because you got cops, they got guns on you, man. And they're following you. And they're just waiting for you to make a move. And as soon as you open up the car and you go to get in, they're going to use that as an excuse. Oh, he was reaching for a gun. He wasn't reaching for a gun, but you gave them that opportunity, rather than, yes, it's unfair, but I would have rather him just stand still and put his hands up and just stand there, right? I believe he would not have got shot in 7 times in the back had he had done that. That's just that one incident. Obviously, George Floyd's situation is totally different. Here's the compliance. He's got handcuffs on, and they still choke him out. All right, so, but there's two sides to all of this. So then we have what happened in Philadelphia yesterday. You have the young man with a knife. I don't know why he had the knife. I don't know what that was all about. By the time we see the video, his mom is trying to hold him, and he's running off. And the cops are saying, put the knife down, put the knife down, put it down. And all while they're holding guns, drawn guns on him. And somehow, I don't know, everybody's in, flight mode. Flight is an anger management. There's the thinking brain and the logical brain, or the non-thinking brain, the emotional part of your brain. And often when you're in flight mode, the thinking brain is the best way I can describe it. It's turned off. You're not even thinking. Everything's instinct now. Because once you settle down and people ask, well, why did you do this? And your answer usually is, I don't know. I wasn't thinking. Yeah, because you were in flight mode, and that's a part of our mentality. That's a part of our human makeup and our psychology. You can't control that. Well, you can try to learn to control it, but it's when you are in that mode, logic doesn't matter anymore. Even the cops are in that mode. That's what we believe. They got guns drawn, and I believe once one cop, it take both of them to shoot, I think like 14 bullets. I think once one officer decided to shoot, the other one said, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot too." So I hear gunfire, so they just begin to just pull the trigger and just. So what we want to do, we want to understand how should we think about these things. What's the cause and effect? So here we go. Here's some of this I like to share. We talked about defining what civil unrest is, all right? And in this, we're advocating for our life, our freedom, and acceptance, all right? So cause and effect here is basically a framework of human psychology and principles of causation. If you're a psychologist, or if you know anyone who teaches psychology, this is a study, all right? So some of this is sort of consistent with that framework. But I've added some things too here. We're kind of custom view for us, which is the cause here is ignorance, disinterest, avoidance, and miseducation, and silence. It's interesting that I'm saying that, but let's take a look at that. All right. When you talk about the cause and effect, humans, we have the ignorance equals mistakes. Ignorance meaning you don't know. When you don't know things, you make mistakes. Disinterest equals lack and absence of things. Your disinterest explains mine. But we can bring it in layman's terms. If you're not interested in me, which is disinterest, then you won't have me. I'll be absent from you. I won't be in your presence. And you'll be lacking my influence or my resources. Maybe I can help you do something. Maybe I can, by being a friend to me and me being a friend to you, there are benefits. There's a purpose for our friendship, even if it just be good advice. Somebody that you can talk to from time to time. Some people don't have people like that because people are always judging you. So you need somebody. But in any event, if you're disinterested in me, then it explains my disinterest in you. All right. But when we talk about cause and effect, now I'm going to break down how this applies to our society and some of the things we see today. Avoidance. Avoidance equals outcry, civil unrest, and no peace. Martin Luther King talks about the civil unrest and rioting is the voice of the unheard. So you're not hearing us. And sometimes our government officials and police officers, you're avoiding. You know, I mean, it would you would think that police brutality is at its all-time high. It seems. Now we know it's always been in the country, and like Will Smith said, it's nothing new. It's just being taped, being recorded now, because everyone's got cell phones now, and we are, we're capturing these atrocities as they exist, right? But the civil, but if you're avoiding it, and I believe a lot of the government officials are, your avoidance it's producing an outcry. We will be heard. Now, if you just keep doing it, all right, if you keep shooting black people, it's only going to push more civil unrest, more lack of peace, because nobody's going to sit down and accept that, right? We're just not going to sit back and just say, oh well, that's the way it's going to be. It's only going to get worse, and we know this. We know this. If it be not but in a militia group that's going to try to fight the police, and then that would end up in a bloodbath. We would hate to see that, but that's the direction that goes in. It doesn't go the other way, where we just kind of sit back and say, oh well, no. And some of that expression, if you can't shoot at the cops and do all of that, then they'll burn the police precinct down and start burning businesses down. They're trying to be heard. Now everyone's all up in arms. Oh my God! Oh, well, you got my attention. And what's a shame is often when these things happen, people don't pause and just answer the simple question: why are they doing this? Now, some obviously are opportunists. They come from other states and other cities, and they know an opportunity to burn some businesses down. And they like doing stuff like that. And some of them don't even live in that area. They come to your area, calling themselves supporting, the atrocity and protest, and burn down the Wawa, burn down, the CVS, where grandma can get her medicine, and people in the community use, on their medical coverage. That's their CVS. That's how it works. So if you have medical coverage, usually, the doctor knows where to send your prescriptions to. And not all the way across town, some daggone place. No, it's right across the street or around a corner, near in the neighborhood. But if you burn all of that down, right, then now that medicine that you would need to get in things where you would frequent that store, you can't do it now. Now, and the people, and a lot of times people who have done that don't even live in the area, right? You drove in town, parked somewhere where nobody, and it came up and burning stuff up, and then get in your car and drive out to Jersey somewhere or some other township where it's all peaceful, and you got all your stores, all the amenities you need are close near you, but you burned all of, so people take opportunities to do stuff like that. But in either case, that aside, the very existence of the unrest is because you keep killing us. We're tired of it. We know how this goes. We all see the video. We've already made our judgment, not based on biased judgment. It's clear. I see what happened. I agree. He had the knife. I see that. But you guys were like 15 to 12 feet away from him. You could have tased him, or you could have fired one shot. Maybe one officer fire a shot, shoot him in the foot. Maybe a warning shot. Couldn't do that. All right. And so that's the problem that we have. But avoidance. So here we go. I know I can go into, I'm talking about avoidance. If you avoid us, then you got an outcry, you got civil unrest, you have no peace. Miseducation, right? Results in racism and hate. And you see a lot of that going on. Racism is taught. We're not born with hate. The type of hate we see, we're not born with that. Children just assume love each other. They'll play white, black, green, red, yellow. They will play in the sandbox all day long. They'll get in a fight and cry, and in a few minutes they'll forget all about it. They never associate, if they did get in a fight, they don't associate it with color. It takes you to do that. You start telling them, well, next time that little black boy said The little white boy never even, he never identified him as a little black boy. You know, you guys were fighting over a little truck or a toy. And to him, he was just being mean to me, mommy, or whatever. And so you filled his head with a whole bunch of, well, that's what black people are like. That. So, oh wow, I didn't know that. And so now mom is making you out to be a little racist now. So now when you see people of color like that, then you associate it with those words that you were taught. Had you not heard that, you wouldn't be racist. That's miseducation. Silence. All right, and silence of people who have a voice but choose not to say anything, whether it be celebrities or people closer to the situation who have an influence. You know, whether you are a congressperson or you are someone who works in City Hall or in the police department. More importantly, in the police department, where, you know, they said not all police are bad. Well, I get that, but it's a time where police need to speak up. I know we support the blues, we got that, but there's times where it's like, yo, this is wrong. And I know there's a lot of politics associated with that, a lot of optics. And optics is a big old word, a political word kind of being thrown around. It usually means how people perceive it to be. And some people avoid the optics that are, you know, if a police officer it's like we call it on the street, being a snitch. You know, snitches get stitches. You understand that. So you got people in the hood that may know somebody who was, you know, slinging the bullets or what have you, but they're not going to say nothing, right? Because the optics, you know. And so, you know, the result of that is, so optics are performed. Well, ophthalmology, or what you're seeing. So that's where it is. It's the root word. But if the cops are standing on your step talking to you, and you let them in, they just asking questions, you know who did, and the homies in the neighborhoods, oh, the cops are in there, and somehow, you know, they associate their find with them having gone in your house. Now, you might have not said anything. You might say, oh, officer, I don't know, I can't help you. But those few moments of an exchange, and the people in the hood saw you palling up with the police, the optics are you a snitch. So you've got that. It's jacked up, y'all. So, but when you have these things that are presenting themselves, people feel like they don't want to say anything. But silence is betrayal. So that's what we have here. Your silence, and sometimes people are their abandonment, or silence equals abandonment and betrayal. You know, because you could say something, but often when some people speak up, the optics make it appear that you are a turncoat. You're not supportive to the blues. If you tell on your partner, or if you speak against the blue code, the police, the brotherhood, if you will, there's a brotherhood, certainly. There's a union, certainly. And if you appear to speak up, then the optics are that you are you're a traitor. That's complicated, y'all. It's very complicated, and move that out of the way. All right. So what's the resolution? All right. Ignorance equals mistakes. So we can avoid those mistakes by education. All right. Ignorance meaning the lack of knowing. Certain things you don't know, so you just keep on, making the same mistakes. I think once you are educated, it can avoid making those mistakes. That's the answer. Disinterest, which we know equals lack and absence, as I explained. Well, the answer to that in the green is show interest. Stop being interested. People invite you to stuff, especially if it's good for the community and good for, like this program, Tattoo, and other things that the community is doing to try to better the community and offer things to you, or somebody offer you an opportunity to go for a college tour and things of that nature, and you don't show up or you don't call back. That's disinterest. So it's no wonder certain things are lacking or absent in the community, because certain people tried to offer it, but nobody wanted to be involved with it. I've seen programs I've seen certain programs that appear to be very helpful to the community, but people didn't show any interest in it. So what happened to the program? It disappeared. And the same way it is with more of a broader, more critical to the community is the U.S. Census. I know time is up for that, but every 10 years there's a census, and I know a lot of people don't fill it out because you don't think you need to. You don't see ignorance is you make a mistake. You made a mistake by not filling that out because the area that you live in, wouldn't you like to have a nicer school? Wouldn't you like the school that is in the community be equipped with better equipment, laptops and computer, and maybe other programs? If they are to have other programs, they need equipment. If you want to teach people life skills and what have you, then there has to be some state-of-the-art equipment there to facilitate that and people to teach it, right? All of that costs money. So if you have maybe, I don't know, if you have maybe 25,000 people in a particular area in South Philly or anywhere in the city, and only say 10,000 of the people fill out in the census. So what the government does, supposed to do, it's so many moving parts with the government, and some things do work by default, like the U.S. Postal Service. For a while, that was always pretty much bulletproof. It just ran. It's a government service until the current administration in the White House fooled around with it and tried to slow the mail down. But that had never been. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that. When you don't, if only, so let's use this number. Say 25,000 people in, say, in Point Breeze, if you will. And say only 10,000 of the 25 fill out the U.S. Census. And the U.S. Census lets the government know that I'm here, I exist. This is how many people I have in my house. And so when it's time for the government to issue funds for relief and resources to the community, they need numbers for their demographic. And according to them in Point Breeze, we only got 10,000 people that live there. So why should we dump all these extra resources? So the resources that they would seem to appropriate would be for 10,000 people. When 15,000 were left out, they didn't fill out because they weren't interested. So now the result is absence of resources, absence of good education, and a lot of things. And we sit back on the corners and we mad, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. Well, that's why we do have some civic responsibilities. You can't sit back and complain all the time if you don't do your part. Now, doing our part is in twofold: filling out that census and being involved in the elections. We put people in office who care about what we care about. All right. So this interest in the green, show interest, and you'll have the things, you won't have the lack that we see. Avoidance. Okay, when you avoid, we have the outcry, civil unrest. And in the green in the parentheses I have there, what's the answer? The answer is to look and to engage. We need the police officers and our government across the nation to look. Don't turn a blind eye to the very obvious that blacks are being disproportionately killed by police officers. And you got some people who say, oh, I don't think it's that. Listen, stop that. You're not looking. Open up your eyes. And not only open up your eyes, but engage. All right? And if police officers were more engaged, and not only the police officers, now it's more, like the commissioner, Commissioner Outlaw, and not only her in Philadelphia, but there are other police commissioners across the board. I personally think that they should, all the police commissioners in all 52 states should come together. And from their voice, they should voice an edict, a hashtag for starters. Stop killing black people. Or one of the things I shared with the councilman yesterday which Councilman Kenyatta, I shared with him that what's her name, Commissioner Outlaw. If I could speak to her, my suggestion would be number one: can you, even on national television, say something to push back this? And one of the things, the phrases that I use is find another way. Find another way. That speaks volumes. It's simple. We all understand that. And basically what you're implying is, police officers, listen to me. Find another way. In other words, if you're ever confronted with this situation again, where you got someone who's all right, who is mentally challenged, and they have a weapon. Now, if they got a gun, that changes things, right? If somebody's shooting at you, you're gonna shoot back. You gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna get filled with bullets. And sometimes you only have to get filled with bullets as much as they, only takes a few shots to put you down, right? If you had a gun, but we all know that's not how it's going to go. If you black, you got a gun, you shooting at the officers, they're going to make Swiss cheese out of you. They're going to empty their clip. It's going to be excessive. It's going to be excessive. So get ready for that. That's just unfortunate, but that's just what's going to happen. But that aside, a lot of the other things that we're seeing, it's unnecessary. So the edict should be, let's find another way. And hashtag stop killing black people. Why can't we say that? Why can't all 52 states of this United States and all the police commissioners of each city, and maybe the governors, I don't know how, if I were a government official, I would be one of the ones pushing for this. And maybe I can push for it, with tattoo, because we're community activists with all the family enrichment forums that we do. But in either case, the word would be find another way. And that's how you get engaged. And so when you are engaged, look at that. When you go backwards, you're eliminating the outcry and the civil unrest. Because if you don't get engaged and you don't fix this, like you got the picture there with the police officer hugging, that's nice. But there needs to be a word, a edict, a bullhorn that goes out to all law enforcement. And it needs to come from law enforcement, not us on the street, because you hear, or some don't want to hear, or you have no choice but see and hear what we're saying. But we need the commissioners and others who are avoiding the topic to get engaged, and they'll fix it. Miseducation, all right? How do you fix that? Tell the truth in love, all right? Stop, tell it the way it really is. Where situations are, where racism comes from, and stop identifying some of the maladies that exist or disappointments that happen. Stop associating it with race all the time, especially when you're teaching children. Like the example I made of the two little kids getting a fight. Don't bring up that boy's race as it relates to the altercation they had. They were fighting over a truck. A little toy truck. Just leave it like that. You don't have to call him a little black boy or a little white boy, or don't do that, because what you're doing, you're just tell the truth in love, and so, but the miseducation is always going to produce that. All right, let me see. Time is almost up. And silence, abandonment, and you avoid that by speaking up for what's right. All right, moral and honest. I'm going to move forward. All right, when we talk about being an advocate for our, and this was part of the, we kind of went backwards. We just spoke about cause and effect. But now when we go into being an advocate for life, all right, here we're talking about without fear of death. We don't want to die. We should be able to enjoy our lives without feeling like, to breathe, having space sufficient to enjoy life and oxygen. All right, to exist. I want to be. Let me be. Don't kill me. To grow, to develop, to maturity. Longevity is key here. You know, I don't want to die when I'm 27, 25, 17. You know, let me live all until I'm 90, 100 years old. Let me live my life. Let me get married, have children, have grandchildren, and be able to pour into them and care for them. We advocate for that. To see, to included in visuals and signs, things I want to be able to experience, even to perceive in life. Allow me that. That's part of life. To be able to see things even outside of the city, art, nature. I want to be able to do these things. I can't do it if I'm sitting in a prison cell. To explore, um, take take chances, to test and try out things, um, and to procreate, to have children, and raise a family. I talked about that. Now, the reason why I talk about advocating for life, because again, with this police brutality, and not only that, I take the time to say this. It's when we say it was in proportionate, meaning that at the same rate that they're killing black people doesn't even exist with people of other races, and particularly Caucasians, white folk. You know, there's we've seen some videos also circulating when one guy was literally swinging almost like a machete at a police officer. She kept backing away from him, and he's cursing at her, and he called her all kind of bitchs and names and other stuff, and she still remained calm. I don't know what city this was in, but it looked like they were in a big, huge parking lot, like a Home Depot or some kind of big parking lot. And so she's backing away from him, and he's swinging, and she's like, "Put the knife down." He's like, "What knife?" What, just playing head games. But she finally fired a shot. One shot, one little shot. Shot him in the leg. And he laying down there, ah. Then finally her backup came. They flipped his behind over and put handcuffs on him. He lives to tell the day. What's disproportionate is that we as black people don't get that opportunity. We don't get to be crazy or in a moment that's unfortunate that we are acting out, whether it's because of alcohol, some substance, or some drugs, some stuff you on, and you high out your mind. You don't even know what you're doing. You don't get the opportunity to wake up the following day for people to tell you, did you know what you did yesterday? You were holding the gun at the police officer. Oh man, I'm sorry, I wasn't even. You don't get that opportunity. That's called. That's what when we mention that we are being killed disproportionately by police officers. In that way. So we advocate for life. Okay, I'm ending it off. For freedom, without fear of restrictions, curfews, or isolation. To share my life, my voice, my art, my gifts and talent. This is what we want to do. All right? Prejudices and biases take that away from us. To acquire employment, property, real estate, land, positions, and influence. One of the biggest things that's going on now is voter suppression. And again, that's disproportionately being designed to stop black people from voting, using their voice, because the government knows, especially with this administration, if all of America stands up and really has their voice heard through the election, the president that is in the White House now would not be there. He would have never got there. But there's a subset of Americans that vote almost religiously to hold on to their party. But to most Americans, like myself, it has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. It's who's going to care about the people, who qualifies to do the job. That's why I vote. All right, I'm not trying to hold on to the Democratic. I just want people in office. It's just like somebody who works on my car, or works on my house or anything service that's rendered to me or to my family. I just want the right person to do it. And I want you to be fair about it. If you want to come paint my house, then, you know, I want a fair price. You know, don't charge me more, you know, than you're doing less of a job here than you did there. Come to find out you charge me $1,000 more. That's in proportion. Why are you doing that? I don't want that. And so if that's how you are, then I do not elect you. And the story goes on. Now, that's just me personally, but when you think about the country, there are a lot of these people put in office. They're doing things and enacting, and certain things are disproportionate. And when it comes down to taxes, now get me talking about all of that, because you know some people, they get in office and they don't care about you and me, the middle class workers. You know, we work our 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and you know, we don't have a yacht. We don't have multi-millions of dollars in the bank and whatnot. But what happens is some of those who have multi-millions, they could care less about the middle class and taxes. They give tax breaks for those who have millions. And it's okay to have a tax break. I ain't mad at you. If you're a multi-millionaire or a billionaire and trillions of dollars, and by that lofty tax bracket where you live in, and it affords you to have a tax write-off, a tax break. So what that means is, if I donate $1 million this way, I can claim that money back on my taxes, or I can do this. All these little, you know, loopholes or benefits that are afforded to help you maintain and grow your money. I'm not even mad at that. It's just what's in proportion is all of those, the masterminding behind those manipulative calculations to make that happen for the rich. No one's doing that for those who are not rich, those who are under $400,000 a year, under $100,000 a year. Maybe somebody who only makes $50,000 a year, a single mother who's got several children she's raising, and she works at the supermarket. She's doing, how about give her some tax breaks? You know, she's trying to save money, trying to keep food in the house. All right, she don't have multi-millions, but I think that the taxes that she does pay, if anything, there should be some breaks, some accommodations. If you're going to do it for the rich, do it for the middle class too. That's all I'm saying. But again, you got politicians that have different views about that. So what we do is be responsible to elect officials that are going to look out for those. Because the rich people are doing it. That's what the point I'm making is in proportion, because a lot of rich people, very wealthy folks, they're voting because their interest is to keep it the way it is. If they have a president that is giving them all kind of breaks, and as Barack Obama had put it one time, he said, we're getting breaks that we don't even need. You know, and their tax, they're manipulating and doing things to help them, you know, not only to keep their wealth, and you should, but to grow it and to buy it back, write-offs, you know, all kind of ways to do that. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that the middle class should have those opportunities as well. All right, so we advocate for that. Okay, my time is up. Oh, man, to save money, time through mentorship, health. We're going to bring this up next week. It's I'm not finished with this topic. To run for office, a job, to mobilize, to move around. We advocate for our freedom. All right, acceptance without fear of denial, to be included, community activity, both at home, school, built near you. You know, I shouldn't be, we call it gentrification, where certain communities that were populated with minorities are, you know, there's money being invested in those communities to improve upon the living conditions only for the opportunity of non-minorities to come and live there. And ultimately, the gentrification is such that it pushes people out of the community. And because if you're not careful, you begin to build another community in an attempt almost to wipe away the history and existence of the community that's there that needs help. Rather than help them, you're trying to push them out, buy them out. So you want to do something else with the area. That's not right. Right. So we advocate for, I should be able to build near you, or own business, live near you, education, to receive the same educational opportunities as you, both financial assistance and quality teachers. And some of that, again, goes to the U.S. Census. I said, you got to let people know I'm here. So when you dishing out the money, I've made it clear that I'm here. I give it, and here's a scenario. If they're giving out $5 bills in the classroom, and you didn't get it, why didn't you get the $5 bill? They said it was for everybody. You didn't get it because you didn't show up, or you didn't raise your head. You had your head down. Everybody got it. Said, everybody want a $5 bill, raise your hand. Well, you didn't raise your hand. You were disinterested. And so when the window of opportunity closed, and now you're mad and upset because so and so got $5. Oh, you got $5. Everybody, and they're taking their $5 and buying, I don't know, something to eat or what have you, and you sitting back hungry. You didn't have to be that way. But you would have blamed the system. When the system, it was designed, there's certain things that are in place that if we work it, it takes all of us to do it, though. It takes education, but you can work the system. It can be worked. Some people work it to their advantage, like Donald Trump. That name. This man don't pay no taxes, and because he's exploited to explore, and he has exploited all the nuances and loopholes associated with that higher tax bracket. I told you, those million and billionaires. They're finding out ways that I don't have to pay taxes at all. I can have my millions and live on an island and have all of this money and never give an account to the government. When we know, according to our tax laws, that's illegal. You make a certain amount of money, or you start getting money associated with your Social Security number, that's supposed to get reported to the government. Number one, for Social Security tax, that was designed for the purpose that when you are old in age and can no longer work, rather than having be poverty stricken because you wouldn't save no money, at least you can get a Social Security check. That means you get some of that money back that you invested in. FDR introduced that. That was a very good benefit. Someone who was elected in office who cared about the middle class, and it was just an idea. Here's a good way to stop poverty, or now we're always going to have poverty, and it exists. But one of the ways to mitigate the widespread of poverty, where people when they retire don't have anything, maybe because everybody didn't get an opportunity to save like they should. You should have a savings account. That's a whole other thing. But what FDR put in place was Social Security. So what happens is when we're taking your taxes out, federal taxes out, we also are mandating now we're going to be taking Social Security tax out, which is a certain amount of money. And the moment you start working all of your life, so if you work all of your life, maybe you've been working since you were 15 years old like me. Well, ever since I could work, I was working. And then when you're ready to retire, maybe in 60, 70 years of age, and now you can get Social Security money, that means you're going to get a check back for the rest of your life as long as you live. And even after that, your nearest kin, they can pick up on, but if you didn't put anything in there, there's nothing for you to. That was a good idea. I must kudos to that. That was an idea that was enacted, and but you have people in office now that these rich guys. It's not people like you and me. These very wealthy people and some politicians, they want to get rid of those Social Security. They want to get rid of the whole thing. Well, think about that. If you get rid of it and you use the money that's associated with it, wouldn't that be robbing the American people? I mean, what are you going to do with it? Because I know I've been paying, you know. So what are you saying? If you get rid of it, what does that mean? So when I retire, there's not going to be any Social Security money for me to get back after I put all of that in. You don't want people in office like that. But say if that were to happen, and you don't vote, you just allow whoever, get involved in that. Okay, all right. Well, the person that's in office wants to get rid of Social Security. The person that's in office wants to get rid of Obamacare, which is affordable health care. Made it possible. The people who never had health care have it now. But the person in office wants to get rid of it. Oh, I don't get involved in all that. Okay, you don't get involved. You don't vote. And maybe a lot of people, if they use the same logic that you're using and allow the government to have its way, now they take away Social Security, take away Obamacare. So now you don't have health insurance. You had it, but all of a sudden you get a letter home and that insurance you had, it's been canceled. What happened? What happened is you allowed this person to stay in office to do it. And not only so, then you got another bad news coming your way. They got rid of Social Security. So what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means when you retire, there's no money coming for you. If you became disabled or your child or what have you, there's no money. All the money that you paid into, it's not like they're going to cut you a check. You know, you say you're going to do, like for instance, I would say this. Okay, you want to get rid of Social Security? You want to end it? Okay, write me a check. From the first dime I put in that thing, from the first penny I put in it, from the first job I had, where I started reporting, the first official job I had when I was getting a check, and taxes were being taken out. Now, that's, let me see, it's 10, 20, 30. It's almost like 40 years, 35 years worth of work experience for me anyway. I don't know what that would add up to. I have to calculate it. Give me a check. Give me all that money back. Then, since you want to get rid of it. But that's not what they're saying. It's not what they're saying. All right. Apply for resources. Okay, so we advocate, and then lastly, voted for change. And I use the letters as an acronym to stand for vigilant. V for vigilant, O for optimistic, T for tenacious, E for educated, and D for determined. Now, that's associated with my brother's keeper. You see the website there. But there's another website I do share along with this. Let me set it up for you. That's for our voted for change. And I'm going to close out. I'll close out from here. Let me pull that up. Let me put some music on. Some of my cool tunes. Listen, I'm working to improve the whole experience with our Facebook Live. I'm getting some more gear and some, because I'm a musician, so I got a lot of music and things that I like to be able to share with you. So I'm working on that. So you're going to see some improvements along the way. So hang in there with me. I hope that you would. And okay, so let me go here. This is what I want to show you. Voted for change. If you go to that website, you can see a lot of things that we want to say to encourage a community of voters. As we say here, an organism, more than an organization, designed to inspire, ignite, and to educate law-abiding, civic, response-able individuals to do what? To vote. All right? And I got some educational videos there. This is one when Barack Obama was giving a very, very brilliant, I call it, comprehensive lesson on why it is so important to vote as opposed to not doing it. All right. And some of the things that we do as defined in here, That's Stacey Abrams, if you didn't know. And the T-shirt, I want you all to get the T-shirt. Give a donation, you'll get the T-shirt, and I'll send it to you. All right, so you have to go to the contact page and fill this out. Let me know, hey, Pastor Dave, I want a T-shirt. Send me a T-shirt. You know, give me your email, subject line, I want the T-shirt, and give me your address. You know, fill your address, all the other information in here. Give me your email address, etc., etc., and then send that off. But also, and when you do that, you know, give your donation. So if I go to the store, and I got some more T-shirts coming too. Some other designs that we have that are associated with Voted for Change and Tattoo. They're kind of one and the same. They're supporting each other. This change on the back of the T-shirt stands for Control Homicide and Neighborhood Gun Violence Effectively. Now, that was something we did with, if I went to www.momentum. Remember, so here's our website, Momentum, and if you go to Tattoo, you can see, well, actually, some of the things that I was talking about with Tattoo. But my brother's keeper also, here's change. Control homicide and neighborhood gun violence effectively. All right? And you go there, and let me see here. Right, go here. I got my own little soundtrack there. One of the songs says, "Don't shoot, I want to live." Let's see if that comes up. Oh, I got my volume down. Let me turn up. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. So we're talking about change. These are the things we want to change. Don't shoot. Let's take a moment while I walk around. There's been some beef and some anger that I spit on the ground. All right, so when you get a chance, you can go to the website. You can hear that. Right. Go here. I got my own little soundtrack there. Oh. The song says, "Don't shoot, I want to live." Oh, I got the volume here. All right, so a lot of moving parts, y'all. But if you want to be my brother's keeper, you fill this out. And we've got wristbands associated with it. If you go there, you'll find out a lot about that we are advocating for to do. All right, so listen, that's Tattoo. Tough answers, tough topics, often overlooked. Stay tuned and stay connected. All right, I'll play this as we go out. Let's see here. What am I? I want to. Yeah, I'll do that. Then I'll go to Stop the Violence. Don't shoot. I want to live. Here we go. Hanging down, living life with no morals. In the gutter, you can't speak words of wisdom, so you stutter. You call me brother, we got the same mother. Last time I checked, you hit the sound of your brother. I was hoping that you changed. Take a different road in life, increase the knowledge of your brain. Higher heights, new destinations. And remember, we're offering these books. You see this? That's how you want it. Souls of Black Folks, W.E.B. Du Bois. We have Kiki Palmer's book, I Don't Belong to You, and Jay-Z, Made in America, by Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. These are real good reads. So if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and let me know you want, say, Pastor Dave, I want the book. Can you send it to me? I'll give it to you for free. We're about increasing the knowledge of your brain. All right? Tattoo for life. We're out. Our brother's keeper. Oh, it's deeper than just friends. We make amends. We make promises. I won't shed your blood. You won't shed mine. And this way we'll always defeat the crime. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Don't shoot. Hands hanging down. You ain't all that. You better think again. They not looking for that. You want your life to make a difference.
A positive change. Show them that you're gifted. Be the best in your class, you see. Don't be the one that all that we get to see is your back in the grass. You be smoking, you be joking, no ends, pockets all broken. Be an A student, you can do it. Return the favor to God, be a good steward. He gave you life, you can't take it. He gave you health, just don't waste it. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Don't shoot. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop